Okay, so today we're going to talk about a pretty common problem I see. I personally used to have it, and I've seen it in a lot of athletes. Okay, during the arm swing, ideally we want the arm swing to be loose. We want it to get back into a nice pec stretch. We want the shoulder girdle to be relaxed, meaning all the musculature around here, okay, so that we can get into that deep position. Now, the problem that we see is tension at the wrist, okay? And that typically presents like this. So you'll see guys climb the arm with this wrist curl, okay? That's a point of tension and that's a muscle up. What we want to do is eliminate that and allow them to have a neutral wrist naturally. We want it to become subconscious. If it's conscious, it's just going to slow you down. But how do you get it to be subconscious? You consciously and intentionally fix it with lots and lots of good reps, okay? And the best way that I've found to fix it is going to be with overloads, okay? So to start with the arm action, we're going to do preset arm action drills, okay? That's going to look like this. I got my arm up in a good position, I have my glove side in a good position, and then I throw, okay? And when I throw, my intention is on throwing, relaxed, and then only at the last second do I actually put any effort and contraction behind the ball. We then do it with a split stance, okay? But now, you're probably thinking, how did that attack this? Well, it didn't yet, okay? So we have more drills that we can do that actually attack the swing. What that did was get us to feel a good position up here, which is where we want to get to. But first, or now that we have a good position here, we can attack this, okay? And one way to do it is to do seated throws. Now, I'm not going to sit on the floor because of the fact that it would be hard for the camera to see it. But you can do seated on a bench or seated on the floor. Okay, and what it's going to look like is now we're isolating the upper half, okay? So all our body is going to get all its power from the spine, right? It's on the back side, okay, and the trunk rotation. What it also does is free us up to be mechanically efficient, right? Because we're taking out all these other variables, okay? That's what a constraint is, okay? A constraint is our biggest limiting factor. We isolate it, okay? So, in this situation, we take this, okay, and then we do seated throws. Now, when we do seated throws, we don't want to have too much conscious thought, but we can have a little bit of conscious thought. And that conscious thought can simply be, okay, I want to get my wrist neutral and just keep it neutral and throw. Now, we have the neutral wrist. What else can we do, right? Because you know, at Kirk's Pitching Performance, we're big advocates of variability, okay? So now we can do 2 knee throws, same idea. Okay, we can do 1 knee throws, same idea. Okay? We can do 1 leg throws. Same principle, okay? Now all of those things attack different things slightly. For instance, the 1 leg throw, we're attacking the oblique slings, right? We're getting that expansion and then contraction, okay? It's kind of the same idea of whenever you see a pitcher grunt, right? They're grunting ideally without conscious effort, but it's because the air is coming out so that they can get that final right there, okay? But we're attacking the wrist today, so I'm going to try to stay on topic. All right, why do we use overloads and what weight should we use? Okay, typically what I like is you take the weight in your arm side and then you cut it in half and put it in your glove side. All right, so here I have a 2-pound ball, here I have a 1-pound ball, and if I were going to do my split stance preset, I would do it like this. Okay, now, why do we do that? We do that because we want to feel what our arm is doing in space. So the overload gives us more feel of that. Our arm speed is going to be slower, which means lower stress on the arm, which means we can do more reps. And the carryover might actually occur if we do more overloaded reps. Now, when you get into problems and run into trouble is when you take a baseball and you go hit 180% reps, right? Without any intention behind it, without any constraint, okay? That's when people run into problems because they're not actually getting better. They're not at a high enough intent to really work on like their max effort delivery, and they're not at a low enough intent to stay out of the fatigue range and move efficiently still. When we're working on constraints, ideally we'd like to either be at about 65% or about 95%, okay? We want to kind of stay out of that middle range. How's that going to help the wrist? Well, you might be able to do this at 75, 80, 85% and keep the wrist neutral, but then you go to 95% or 100% and we start seeing this muscle up again. Well, that's because we haven't gotten enough high quality reps in, and it's going to be impossible to do that at 75, 80% because we're still fatiguing the body a little bit. So we're going to do a ton of reps at 60% with the overload. It's going to be super low arm stress because our arm speeds are so low with the overload baseball or plyo balls. Okay, we can rep it. Now, the next thing is, where do we want tension? Because we want tension and we want relaxation. We want them at different times in different parts of the body, right? There is some tension in my wrist to hold it stable here, okay? But it's not tension that's like on and off, like this. It's more like just a constant like isometric contraction where I just keep it still, okay? So that's something to play with, okay? The other part, elbow joint. Elbow joint, we want every part of the arm to be relaxed, right? But we also need a little bit of tension to maintain some elbow flexion, because once we start stabbing, now we're going to have other problems in terms of muscling up. So we create a little bit of tension and then we just hold it, but it's still relaxed in the shoulder joint. But when we get a ton of tension and we straight arm it and we curl our wrist, now we got a problem. Now this is tightening up with it, okay? We want this to be completely relaxed so that I can get into a clean horizontal abduction, okay? And then I can get into a clean layback with external rotation of the shoulder and thoracic extension of the spine, okay? And only here am I putting in any contraction, right? It's like relax, relax, relax. Then right at that last second, I'm applying the intent, okay? We can go into the lower body relaxing tension later, but that was the upper body, specifically solving the wrist curl issue, and even guys that have that stabby arm action, all right? So play around with those constraints, use overloads, and remember where you want to be relaxed and when, and where you want to be tense and when.